Hello and welcome to the Miss Roll-In podcast. We are here for yet another season, and as usual, my name is Jacob Staten, and as usual, I'm joined by JJ Armstrong. JJ, how the devil are you?
Fantastic. It's good to be back. What a brilliant summer it's been. I've watched England lose another major final. I caught COVID about 55 times, and I've been made redundant from my job last week. How's your summer been, Jacob?
Better than that.
Good. But I'm ready because Forest are back. They're incoming. They're back this weekend, and they're going to inject a lovely dose of reality, happiness, and nothing bad's going to happen this season, is it, Jacob? We've got the pre-season optimism.
That is a guarantee. We're gonna kick the show off. Sorry, just to point out, JJ, is this our fourth season now? Fifth season?
It could be sixth. It could be
sixth. Could be sixth. Wow, we started COVID, didn't we? So
yes.
Yeah. 5 or 6. It's been a long time now. Anyway, into new signings. So just before we hit the new signings, we're going to talk about the outgoings. So very briefly, because for once, there hasn't been a whole horde of them. But Odysseus Vlachodimos was in some kind of PSR-related swap to Newcastle United. Wish him all the best. Clearly didn't work out. I think we did some jiggery poker and we got a decent deal on that one. Brandon Aguilera has gone to Rio Ave for an undisclosed fee. Rio Ave, coincidentally, in Portugal, are another team owned by Evangelos Marinakis. So there's probably some kind of work permit related deal gone on there. And Oriol Mangala and Musi Niakhaté have both gone to Lyon Ligue 1. Mangala for a reported 20 million, which is plus the loan fee of 10 million. And Niakhaté for an eye-watering 27, which is, they were, particularly Mangala, but they're both good players for us. But £27 million for somebody who's never off the treatment table is sensational work by whoever's responsible for that deal out on our side. So, wish them all the best, but thank you.
I didn't think we'd be sat here on 13th of August discussing those outgoings. It felt so clear to me that because of PSR-related issues that we'd be talking about one, if not both, of Murillo and Gibbs-white going. So the fact that, well, fingers crossed, there is still a bit of the window left to go, but at the minute it doesn't look to be the case. But the fact that we're sat here at least ahead of the first game of the season and we have both those players is really exciting. So I don't know how we pulled it off. Bad business from, was it Marseille or Lyon, did you say they went to? I forget now.
Lyon.
The same place. Lyon. Bad business for them. They could be fantastic for them. They are both very good players, but I think the price is extremely inflated as to what I would have valued them at. But that plus, I think we'll go on to talk about Elliot Anderson. We've definitely got the better end of that deal and got rid of Vlachodimos with a bit of cash income in. So whoever's responsible, like Jacob says, congratulations. It's an excellent bit of working around to get around the problem and to retain some important players. Hudson-Odoi and Elanga also have had interest this season. There's Danilo and Nico Williams. We don't have to sell them if we don't want to. So great business.
Absolutely. I think that's a point I'm going to want to make later on around the players we haven't sold. But yeah, great business. I think Mangala's probably a fair price for me. Niakhaté definitely overinflated. I think Niakhaté is actually replacing an Irish defender that's just left Lyon and gone to Everton as well.
Jake O'Brien,
that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I think the rumours were that it was a bit like the Anderson Vlachodimos deal where essentially we were just going to get O'Brien later down the line, but never seemed to be the case. It just seemed that they wanted Niakhaté. So I think Mangala is fair, actually. He is a full international, played in a major tournament. He is a good player. He was one of my favourite midfielders before we got rid of him last season. Still, it just feels like a lot of money. It feels overinflated just because in my year supporting Forest, aside from Brennan Johnson, you never really see a talent sold for quite that amount of money, which is eye-watering, particularly when, at some cases, he couldn't get into the starting 11. And as you say, with Niakhaté, was injured quite a lot. So the combined fee for the two of them is eye-watering, but maybe just about market value. But either way, the importance that's going to have on our upcoming season, I think they've been great players for the club. Niakhaté's had his moments. Mangala certainly has. And this is, if the legacy is we get to keep some players that otherwise would have gone, even better.
Absolutely. Now, into incomings, JJ. You're going to work your magic fingers and put a little something up?
This is the first one, I believe. We'll do it chronologically. Jacob, if you say the name first, just to make sure I get it right. But the first incoming, I believe, was actually not Eric da Silva Moreira. It was somebody else, but they went straight to Olympiacos. I think it was Stamenik.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Marko Stamenik. He went straight from Red Star Belgrade on loan to Olympiacos. He is despite his name, he's a New Zealand international. Already played 21 games for New Zealand. If anyone is a football manager addict like myself, he's a top prospect on there anyway. But yeah, just a good sign and somebody good to have within the Forest football group, I suppose, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, Eric da Silva Moreira. So we signed him from San Pauli. Although he's only ever actually played one league game for them, which came last season as they were promoted back from Bundesliga 2 to Bundesliga 1. Apparently, he could play wing, right wing, or right back. I don't think there's even many clips or videos around him, is there? Really, highlight reels. But yeah, hopefully a good youth signing, and I think he might actually get some game time as he did in the preseason friendlies.
Yeah, and he did look pretty good in the preseason friendlies. I think the versatility is really helpful. We sort of saw it with Nico at some points last season where we'd bring him on and double up on the wing and he'd actually be a right winger. Yeah. I think that versatility is good, particularly if we do have injuries at any point. But it's why not? You know, we seem to have good history now of recruiting good, talented young players. I think now we can start to afford the recruitment team some slack and start to properly trust them. You look at Danilo, you know, he's just been linked to AC Milan. You look at Murillo, we thought he'd be going for a lot of money. So they seem to be really good at targeting these young players. And the idea is they're trying to replicate the Brighton model of buying low, developing, selling high, which, you know, I think this is a low-risk move for someone so young, not particularly expensive, I believe. Yep. And hopefully we can develop him. And if he becomes great, it means he's had a good chance with us and played well with us and had a good impact, and therefore we can command a really high fee for him. If not, I think the risk is minimal. But he does look like a talent. He's looked good from the sort of little bits I've seen him in pre-season. So, yeah, certainly one to watch, I think. And like I said, I do think he will get a little bit of game time this season. I don't think he's one like Andre Santos that will just sit on the bench as a youngster and never play. So, excited to see a bit more from him.
Yeah, Andre Santos has just gone on loan somewhere else. Somewhere in France, I think.
So, yeah, I mean, that Chelsea squad is large, so I'd be surprised if he got anywhere near that.
What's odd is, though, he's actually played for Brazil, isn't it? That's the...
He's already... Well, after he left us, I can't remember who he went to, but I think he basically tore that league up, so the Forest effect, isn't it? But, oh well, yeah. He's not our player. Forget about it.
Absolutely. Who's next, JJ?
Well, I say chronologically, but this was just the next one I had. But the next one up is Elliot Anderson. Could be chronological, could be not. Don't shout at me.
It is.
But Elliot Anderson from Newcastle in exchange for Vlachodimos. And Jacob, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, but I think we did very, very, very well out of that swap.
Yeah, I think this is the PSR trap swap that we mentioned earlier. I led to believe that we paid 35 million for Anderson, and Newcastle played somewhere between 15 and 20 for Vlachodimos. I think they're both overinflated fees. I think if you look at the difference between the two fees of 15 to 20 million, that's probably what we just paid for Anderson, but we ticked a few boxes along the way, helped us all get over the line. And Newcastle got themselves a backup goalkeeper. Very exciting talent. Whenever I saw him come on for Newcastle, thought he'd end up going the same way as kind of Lewis Miley and that kind of thing. And I feel like they've got another winger as well in a similar vein. Through their youth team, obviously Newcastle love a youth team player coming through, don't they? But it's just good business. This screams good business, exciting talent for the future, but also to slot into the first team. I just don't see any downsides to it, JJ.
Was it Jacob Murphy you're thinking of, or am I making that up?
No, he came from Norwich, didn't he, with his twin brother?
Yeah, well, Newcastle's development, the young academy players typically have been quite good in recent years. I didn't know too much about Anderson. Certainly was happy to get rid of Vlachodimos. I don't think really is any of his fault. It just wasn't working for us.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen from his early Newcastle pre-seasons, Newcastle fans are feeling quite similar to us. So I think Newcastle fans were sad to see Anderson go. I think they, see him as an up-and-coming prospect that they'd like to see in around the first team. So we have done much better than them in this deal. But one that I didn't know too much about, I've obviously heard of him before, seen him play now and then, but getting to watch him in the pre-season friendlies, I'm very excited about him. I believe he can play further up the pitch in the Gibbs-White-esque role, and I believe he can play further down the pitch in the what I'm going to call, to avoid any drama, the Ryan Yates role, just to cause controversy. But he seems talented. He's good backup for both areas. I actually think come the end of the season, he will manufacture his way into starting for us. I don't think he will remain on the bench for the entirety of the season, but I think currently there's a few players in front of him to try and get into that squad. But again, it is technically a fair bit of money, but not really for someone so young and talented that, again, we could possibly sell on for a higher fee if they reach the potential that we can see. So another one that I'm excited about, another bit of great business. The sort of back and forth for Newcastle helped us with PSR. And I've seen flashes of him in preseason, which look great. So excited to see him develop, excited to see how he fits into the squad. And once he gets into the squad, if he can maintain a spot and where that would be. Is it at the expense of someone as talented as Danilo or Gibbs-White? And if he has done that, then he's done an exceptional job to get in the squad. So, yeah, another one. Looking forward to it. Great recruitment.
Yeah, I think as well, his versatility is going to help, isn't it? Off the wings, in the middle, further forward. I mean, I imagine he chanced his arm at playing up front as well. So it's just that having that person that can flit around, almost a bit like Joe Lolly used to.
Yeah. Well, if he's got as good a left foot as him, then great. I think as well, what we're starting to see is players that can actually help us react dynamically to a game. So we've always had what happens if plan A fails, we'll just do plan A again and then get battered. That's what it feels like in recent seasons because it is a tough league, but it feels like we're in pre-season, obviously we started with 4-2-3-1, we've flitted with 5 at the back, 3 at the back, a few more in midfield, we can react dynamically. So having players that can play multiple positions, almost double up in some positions, is going to be really important to us. So Anderson allows us to do that. So like I say, really looking forward to seeing him this season.
Absolutely. Who's next on the Magic Roundabout?
If he fits on the screen, because he's about 20 foot, it's Carlos Miguel.
Here we go. Big giant of a goalkeeper, officially 6'8", apparently, which is mind-bending even to me at 6'6", that somebody could be possibly.
If he's tall to you, then I'm impressed. That's
Yes.
a tall person.
A colleague of mine who supports Chesterfield went to the pre-season friendly and was sat. Let's just putting it into context of the City ground. Carlos Miguel was stood in the Bridgeford end goal. My friend was sat in the Peter Taylor stand right near Trent End, and he sent a photo of. Basically, the photo was, "Look how tall this goalkeeper is." I swear to you, even from that distance, he looked enormous. Made average height players look like dwarves type thing.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Will he be a starter though, JJ? I genuinely have noticed. So there's an article, isn't there, or there was an interview on BBC with Matt Seltz where they ask, basically, is he going to be the number one choice goalkeeper? I think it may start like that, but I genuinely have no. All I know is it won't be Matt Turner. It'll be Miguel or Matt Seltz, but which one it'll be, I have no clue.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, I think, because I think Miguel is unknown. He seems to be a good player. I think there's whispers that he might inevitably be the one to take over Ederson or Alisson in the Brazil squad in years to come. That's how high his potential has been spoken about. I thought he might come in as a number one spot. There's a lot of hype about him, but looking at pre-season with Sells, sort of seeming to retain the number one spot. I think it's Sells to lose, and I think that's fair. I think Sells hasn't done anything wrong to lose it. It's his jersey to lose, and if Miguel comes in and takes it, then I think that's fair enough. If Miguel doesn't have to come in because Sells has done such a good job and continue to just help us and play well, brilliant. That's happy days. It won't be Matt Turner, which is great news. I know he was rumoured to go to an MLS club. Hopefully that does happen. Just him not being in the squad will make me feel a bit more comfortable because then he can't actually play. But I think the interesting part about it is the links to Sam Johnston at Palace and also the links to Ramsdale on loan. It almost seems as if we've got neither of these in mind for the number one spot, which is interesting. I've not seen Miguel properly yet, other than the pre-season. He's obviously tall. He seems to have a good highlight reel of some good saves. With tall keepers, you look at all I can think of for Forest is Costel Pantilimon. As soon as a shot's driven low, it took him 5 business days to get down. So there is that element. Who knows? He could be brilliant. That might not be a weakness, but I was quite looking forward to the goalkeeper situation just finishing. You know what I mean? We've got Sells. We've got this more than good enough backup, if not person in front of him. Why are we dipping back into the loan market for someone like Ramsdale, who, let's face it, will be better than both of them, but I don't think he's that good. He's a bit of a camera keeper for me. He will obviously improve the squad, but I feel like we had the answer with Henderson years ago. We had the answer with Samba, a keeper that is talented that could have been ours, but for injuries or not being able to get the deal done or someone not agreeing to a deal and leaving the club, it just hasn't worked out. So it'd be nice to just put a little bit of finality to the keeper position and just either have our own or just understand who the number one keeper is. But for me, for now, Sells or Miguel, at the moment, I trust them both. Miguel, again, wasn't a big fee. Apparently, there's potential there. Again, could he command a high fee later? If his potential is as high as some people suggest, people got very excited about him. It's a good position to be in. So it looks like good recruitment to me. And I trust the South American scouts after the business they've done. So I guess we'll see in the next podcast if we're talking about Ramsdale coming in or something. But for now, I can only liken this to good business. Next up, we've got somebody got very excited about, Milenkovic.
Yeah, I think this is probably the sign of the summer. Certainly for Forest anyway. Around £12 million, I think it was. Wonderful business. I'm not going to guess. I'm going to tell you exactly how old he is right now. He's 26, still got the prime of his career to come.
Just played around that.
Just played a major international tournament. Did very well as well in that tournament. He's played over 200 games in Serie A for Fiorentina. He's 6'5". He's huge. It was like the perfect yin and yang for Murillo. This is a 100% win. He could, unless he has a Jonathan Woodgate debut, like Jonathan Woodgate's debut for Real Madrid, where he got sent off, scored a goal and got sent off. Then this has got win written all over it for me.
Big game player, relatively low fee. I mean, actually incredibly low fee given the experience he's got. People were excited about it. I didn't know too much about him, but reading into it, looking into it, sort of following the lead of why people were excited, I got excited too. So this is going to be really good. I think we needed a centre-back of this calibre. It likens me a little bit to Felipe, not in terms of ability, but just that sensible, good, strong defender to pair with a younger centre-back. So, and also he can actually walk. His legs haven't gone. So I think it's going to be great business. Again, low fee. This is what we've all got. It's boring to talk about football in these terms nowadays, but if you can command a high fee, as we said, for all of them, and he improves with us, it benefits both of us and we get money for it. So exciting one. Again, I think he's a little bit of a yellow card merchant. I might be wrong. VAR might keep an eye on him at times if he gets a bit too close to a player. But either way, really excited to see the hype that surrounded him. Excited to see him in a Forest shirt properly, and excited to see what him and Murillo can both do together. That feels like a very, very strong centre-back pairing.
Absolutely. I think that will be the number one pairing as well.
Yeah. And we've got good backup now. Yeah. On Bamidele, Bolly's great. It's looking good, looking strong. Last up so far, for now, this is at the time of recording, it's the 13th of August at 20:08. It's Forest. Anything could happen. They might be announcing 5 signings by the time this is up. But last for now is the most Portuguese name I've ever heard, Jota Silva.
Jota
Silva.
Yeah, I've seen him called the Portuguese Jack Grealish, which on that photo, so apologies if anyone's listening and not watching, but yeah, he is literally, if somebody said to you Portuguese Jack Grealish is Jota Silva. I'm not going to lie, I only know about him from Football Manager. He's very good for my Fulham team on that.
Fulham?
It's just good sign. Good sign. Just made his debut for Portugal before the Euros. Unfortunately, get picked for the squad. In fact, probably fortunately, because he probably would have demanded a much higher fee. I don't think it was too expensive. JJ is going to correct me if I'm wrong.
Don't think he was.
Reported to be around 7 million euros. So, this is a no win, no fee situation. It's what else do you want? I suppose from a promising winger. I'm excited to watch him play. Very excited to watch him play. It's nice that we've signed this kind of player. I think he's had a bit of a Jamie Vardy type rise throughout the leagues. Looking at the teams he's played for, again, despite a crippling Football Manager addiction, I've never heard of any of them apart from Vitória Guimarães, which he played 2 seasons for before signing for Forest. So maybe he could continue his meteoric rise with a European run with Forest and get himself in the Portugal squad again.
And how old is he, Jacob? If you could just let me know that.
He is 25. He was 25 on the 1st of August, so just turned 25.
So pretty young.
Still got
minimal
his prime
fee. Prime to come. Got a talent, got potential. You're probably getting bored of hearing me say this. There's a theme here. There's a theme developing. It's almost like we've finally got consistent recruitment. Past seasons has been Dane Murphy gets a player, Steve Cooper gets a player, Evangelos Marinakis gets a player, Milta. Get that 99 in, pal. Miltardis gets a player. Ross Wilson gets a player. It's like it's so haphazard, and you could definitely tell because there was no profile or theme to the player we were buying. But young potential, minimal fee, higher value potential. It starts to make sense. I really hope that we continue to play it this way. It doesn't get to deadline day and we see an influx of 5 or 6 players like we have in recent years. It feels, we'll talk about it later, but it feels like a preseason that is one to get optimistic about, that feels cohesive, that feels like we've got a bit of structure to it. So hats off to the recruitment team so far. Obviously, we've not seen these players properly play. A lot of them are untested in the Premier League. You never know, but I like the look of it early doors. So, yeah, another good one. Hopefully, we do get to see him play as well. There's been rumours that if we sign Sosa, that this guy Jota is going to Olympiacos, which that'd be the second one so far, which I don't really get. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I think we need to stop doing that.
Surely, if you get a big signing thing, you're not going out on loan to Olympiacos, are you? Surely.
Who knows? We'll soon find out, I guess. I think from what I've seen, he looks pretty bright. So hopefully we do get to see him at least.
Yeah. I purposely kept this question from you, JJ, that I wanted to ask at the end of this. And in the interest of keeping it short and sweet, I'd like a very quick answer. Because I agree, I don't want to see hordes of signings coming in now. I'd rather keep that trump card for January in case it's all gone tits up. If you could only sign one more player in this transfer window, what position?
Well, what I'll do, Jacob, is I'll flash up the current squad situation. For those listening, I'll quickly read them out. I know Jacob said make it quick, but goalkeepers at the minute, we've got Turner, Miguel, Sells. Defenders, we've got Worrell, Murillo, Williams, Amabamidele, Toffolo, Richards, Bolly, Milenkovic, Aina, and Abbott. Midfielders, we've got Sangari, Anderson, Gibbs-White, Dominguez, Yates, and Danilo. And forwards, we've got Awonyi, Chris Wood. You can't just say Wood, can you? I feel like you have to say his full name. Hudson-Odoi, Moreira, Silva, Elanga, and Dennis. Now, for me personally, if I could only sign one, I would go for forward position, a striker, because it's one of the more unknown elements. I think we've got two adept goalkeepers. I think we've got a good back line in our defence. Our midfield is really solid now. Our wingers are obviously world class a little bit. But Taiwo Awoniyi and Chris Wood are so unknown. If they're both fit, then I think they're fantastic and it's worth keeping them. And we're going to have two really exciting players. It's just a question of who gets there first. They're both quite injury prone. Chris Wood is now going to be another year older. It's just one of those where I think we could benefit from having a striker that pushes them both as a starter. And if you've got them both on the bench or both to come on, that's a really exciting depth. Or if we're trying to save money, a third striker that is actually comfortable coming on and pushing them both. But that, for me, screams the position that we desperately need at the minute. What about you?
You literally just stole my answer word for word. So there we go, mate. We are
Brilliant.
symbiotic. But yeah, no, just
change the background. There you go. Sorry.
Just to echo, yeah, I think, I love them both to bits. Really turned around again by both of them, I suppose. The issue is like, Taiwo can't play a full season. Chris Wood can't play a full season. If they both could, I'd probably sit here and go, don't need to spend the money. But I think, we've been linked with Santiago Jimenez from Far North, a Mexican striker. I'd probably leak out of every orifice if we signed him, if I'm being honest. But so yeah, I just think we need like I say, either go cheap and go for a third choice backup, or go big and get the first choice ahead of the two of them and risk upsetting them and light a fire in them.
Upsetting me with that answer, if that's what happens if we sign him. It's horrendous. That'll be cut out.
Right then, JJ, we've got a message for our sponsors.
Yeah, and the sponsor is what Jacob's wearing, me. On the side, I run a clothing line called Heavy Metal Football. As I said at the top of the show, I'm going to get my begging bowl out. I've just been made redundant. So I need to sell some shirts, essentially, because I'd like to make this a bit more of a thing rather than a side thing. As you can see from the graphic for those watching, modelled by the wonderful Ruby, we've got a collection of Forest shirts. Just buy them, essentially. I need you to buy them, please. Help. For those listening, can't see the shirts, heavymetalfootball.co.uk. If you're watching this ahead of the first game of the season against Bournemouth, you can get 20% off your order with the code PREM2024. But make sure you follow us on social media for more deals, and I'll post them there. But appreciate anyone that has bought one so far, that follows us on social media. And Jacob is modelling it right now. Look how good he looks in it. Beautiful. There you go. You could look like that too. Heavymetalfootball.co.uk. Thank you for bearing with me there.
Right then, JJ. The $1 million question: what constitutes a good season this season?
The real answer, and this is the answer that all Forest fans should think and not get too carried away, is a good season is finishing 17th and not getting relegated. That's what constitutes a good season. Any season in the Premier League that you're not relegated is a good season. However, I don't think we will really need to worry about that season. I think I've seen a good pre-season. I think I'm optimistic. It feels different to other pre-seasons. We haven't had a massive influx of players. We look settled. Nuno actually looks happy. So it's a squad that's going to develop. They're going to get closer together by being together longer. We've got some quality. We've injected some quality as well. So the answer to your question is a good season, 17th. Anyone that disagrees with that, you're wrong, because if that has to be the first goal. But I think we can push on, and I would like to predict at this point that we'll finish 15th. And I think that is a good season. I think we can flirt with the top half. I think we can have aspirations of floating around 12th and 13th. But realistically, any incremental gain that we can get year on year in the Premier League is huge. A lot of teams struggle to do it. Look how long Everton have been here, for example. They always flirt with relegation. I don't want that to be the case for us this season. It would be nice to look upwards rather than downwards, have sights set on 12th and above rather than 16th and below. And I think we can do it if we just behave ourselves. I think we can do it. A lovely little cup run would make it a fantastic season as well. So that's what I think. Jacob, over to you.
Yeah, I'd like us to be a little bit more, maybe more ambitious within the club. I think the key is not getting relegated again. With our first season being so peculiar, there's a risk of this being our second season syndrome season, even though we had it last season as well. I think if we finished 17th last season, 16th is progress in my opinion. But I just have a feeling with how the business has been in the transfer market. We've not sold hordes of players. We've got a nucleus of a team together. When you flashed the players up earlier, our midfield looks, that's 6, competing for 2 or 3 positions, looks so strong. Add a quality striker in there like Jimenez. Our first choice back 4, Omar Richards coming back. He's had a great season with Olympiacos, won the Conference League.
Yeah,
I believe that could be a great signing. That could be feel like a brand new signing coming back. Obviously, Alaina is a wonderful player, but has his own injury issues. Probably, if he didn't have those injury issues, he'd probably still be at Chelsea or Torino or that kind of thing. But yeah, I think any progress on 17th last season is wonderful, and definitely would constitute a good season.
Would you, I'm just going to throw this out to you, not asked you this before, obviously you mentioned earlier about the players that we've managed to keep. So you look at this squad that I've just put up now, Gibbs-white, Murillo, Hudson-Odoi, Alanga, we've managed to keep all of them. Do you think that will help us push on? Do you think that's more important than anyone we've brought in, managing to retain them? And then secondly, you've got players like Sangare, Nico Williams, Omabama, even Murillo once again, young players or players that didn't quite reach their potential in recent years that could have a massive season this season. How big do you think that impact's going to be? And also, a third question, sorry, Jacob, we sit here as well today with Nuno Espirito Santo still at the helm. At the back end of that last season, we both were indifferent as to whether he should be here or not. How are you feeling about that now? A lot in one go. I'll let you take the floor.
So, to address the players staying and the potential that we've got, I think this is almost like, you've seen it happen to. There's been a bunch of good teams. You look at teams like Brighton, like good periods before Southampton got relegated. Before they had a period where they bought really well, they hired really well. And the issue is there always comes a tipping point where you have to go to yourselves, right, at some point, we have to stop selling our good players. We have to start keeping them. We have to start investing money in bringing better players in. And it feels like very quietly we've started to do that. I dare say there was interest in Murillo. I dare say there was interest in Morgan Gibbs-White and Anthony Alanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi. There may been teams sniffing around Sangare because they know about his potential and how good he was at PSV. But the fact that they're all still here and none of them are linked with leaving says to me that the club has bought into what they're trying to do. The players are buying into what Nuno is trying to do, which leads me into Nuno, where the back end of last season, I'll be the most guilty man on death row where it came to Nuno, is I was completely and utterly not bothered whether or not he was still at Forest. Now I'm firmly in the camp of it's good that he's still here. It's nice that he's had that continuity of a pre-season to bring us round, and I'm looking forward to what he can do. I did think he'd try and go back to the Wolves back 3, back 5. Looking at the team you flashed up, I don't think we've got the players for that. So looks like he's going to stick with the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3. I'm glad he's still there. Glad he's still in charge, and I'm looking forward to see how we press on with a mostly the same squad.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Cheers. Nothing to add. Expertly handled. Right. What we got next on the agenda?
Brand new kits, home and away. I'm sure that there's some kind of third kit, maybe a fourth kit, maybe a camo kit, maybe a kit that's covered in pigeons from the market square coming, because we seem to have every club seems to have 17 kits nowadays. But here is our new home kit. JJ, I'll let you talk about somehow find words to describe the world's most boring kit.
I don't think it is boring. I think it's another banger by Adidas. At first, when I saw the leaks, I think last season's was gorgeous. I think Just Red. I think a forest kit, when it's in its simplicity, is lovely. I think this is nice. I really like the star detail. I was before I got made redundant. I'm a graphic designer, by the way, so I'm going to start saying rubbish, wanky terms. But I think the star detail is lovely. Nice nod to our history. I think sometimes you've got to do something a little bit different, because if it's just plain red every year, it is boring. And they want to make money, don't they? The thing that lets it down for me is the god-awful sponsor. I can't stand it. It does my head in. It's a horrible logo. It's horrible font, and it still doesn't exist. And there's been multiple things online about the fact that it doesn't exist, and it is a bit questionable. So unfortunate that we do have that ruining the shirt. I think a sponsor makes a big difference, but it's a nice kit. It will certainly do for me. It's not groundbreaking. It's not the nicest kit we'll ever have, but it will do.
Yeah, I mean, I think my indifference to it, I don't like the stars washed through it. There's more than two, so it's stupid, in my opinion. I'm just looking around at some of the other kits Adidas have made this season, in particular Fulham's home kit, which is
that's what I mean. The simple. You fucking love Fulham. The simple Adidas shirts where it's just nice, clean. That's the one.
I think
that is the one.
Yeah, it's just. I don't get me wrong. I'm a sucker for a boring kit. If I'm being honest, I like if this didn't have the stars washed through it, and it had a white collar and white cuffs on the sleeves, I'd probably be saying this is the best kit I've ever seen in my life. I'm a sucker for a plain, boring kit, but the stars washed through it, I don't get. It just looks like they've tried to adapt a training shirt to me. That being said, it's certainly definitely not the worst kit I've ever seen. That first kit back in the Premier League by Macron was.
I can't quite remember it.
All I will say, one with the sleeves with the silliness on it. That wasn't silly actually. The thing from Trent Bridge pattern on the sleeves, that wasn't silly. The way they did it was silly.
Right. What I will say is it ain't worth 85 plus quid.
No, soccer03.shop. You're welcome.
No. I'm cutting that out. Next up, we've got the away kit, which is fine. That's all I said.
That's a proper away kit to me. I'd be a fan of keeping the same colours for an away kit year after year and having a different third kit. I think Forest should always play in yellow away. Just my opinion. However, I think what it's got it's a bit jazzy. The colours are nice. They've got the colours the right way around. Somebody's shown me an away kit this season that is Southampton's away kit, which is almost like the invert of this, and it's horrific. The pink offsets the blue nicely. Even the sponsor, you touched on the sponsor earlier. The sponsor's ridiculous, but
mate, even the sponsor pink.
Even the sponsor doesn't look that bad, does it? On this one, because it kind of blends into the kind of lighter grey blue pattern behind. But lovely kit, smashing away kit, delightful. See this living rent free in people's heads in 20 years' time.
Yeah. Get rid of the sponsor, it'll be a lovely one. Interested to hear your thoughts on the kits. I know some people aren't bothered about kits, but some people find it very, very interesting. I certainly do. So let us know your thoughts. Be interested to see what people think and what we think the third kit will be. Because I believe it's not the Argentina white and blue one that's been leaked in Turkey. I believe. But we'll see. Should be released.
What was
soon.
that? What was that green one you showed me?
That was a fake one. That was a very good fake.
With the Jolly Forester logo.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as it was Photoshop from a Panathinaikos photo shoot. So there you go. Never going to happen.
Was it like a cream with green trim with the Jolly Forester logo? And let me tell you, it was. Mwah.
Let me tell you, I'm wearing the training gear, and I've also got the greenish one. Now they are delicious. They are lovely. I know, other teams have the same pre-match stuff, but it's lovely. So there you go. Moving on.
There we go. Score predictions for Bournemouth, Jade. We've missed something.
Have we?
First 11.
Oh, first 11. Yes.
So here we are. Right. This is our optimum. Everybody's fit. We get to do what we want. First 11. Now, what's interesting is this, JJ. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but you've ripped this from The Athletic, haven't you?
Not ripped this. What I'm doing is showing you.
You've. Oh man, yeah. You showed us The Athletic. The Athletics starting 11. We were going to do our own, and then JJ showed me this, and we both said that this was exactly what we'd picked. So for anyone who's listening rather than watching, the team is Matt Seltz in goal. It's a 4-2-3-1, by the way. So it's Neko Williams at right back, Nikola Milenkovic, Murillo centre back, Olayin at left back. Holding pair of Danilo and Ibrahim Sangare, with Anthony Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-white, Callum Hudson-odoi behind Taiwo Awoniyi up top. If that team could play 70% of the games this season, I think we'd have a lovely season. I think we'd have a delightful season.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing across the board here is partnerships. When you've mentioned your addiction for Football Manager. When you start getting those green lines left and right, up and down, and the players are starting to gel, I think if this was the second season of Football Manager, you'd start to see that with a few of these players.
Yeah.
Elanga and Williams had good rapport. Hudson-odoi and Olayin were fantastic together. Danilo supporting basically the front four. Murillo getting involved with it all. People like Sangare and Milenkovic, obviously unknown still, even though Sangare was here last season. I think Sangare is going to push on another great season because he looked quite bright in pre-season, and it seemed to be a few things like having malaria and AFCON disrupted him last season. So high hopes this season. But I just think this squad, for now, as an ideal 11, spot on. What more could you ask for? And the fact that there's players that you could probably interchange and still be comfortable with. If Taiwo Awoniyi isn't fit and you've got Chris Wood there, it's completely fine. Gibbs-white or any one of the two behind him, they're interchangeable now. You've still got Dominguez on the bench. You've still got Ryan Yates who can play an important role. You've got Anderson. It's really exciting. So this would be my ideal 11. I like the fact we're starting to get depth. There's still a chance of adding a few more quality additions, possibly, without going too crazy. This is what makes me excited. This is the optimism. I think we could have a great season if, as you say, the core of this team can stay fit.
Yeah, if the core of, like I say, if this team could play, this could be our team for 70% of our games, then I don't think relegation is anywhere near as, I think we're peachy keen jelly bean.
Absolutely. Interested to hear everyone else's thoughts. I've seen a few other Forest podcasts controversially include Yates. I would like to go on record and say I'm not against that. I still like him. I think we might be at a point now where we're past using him. He's still going to be a useful squad member. He still loves Forest, obviously. If he's in the squad, I'm at a point now where I trust him enough that I won't really mind. He was really important last season and the season before. However, when you look at the quality that we've now brought in, we have spent a lot of money on good quality. We might be past the point of needing him to start every game or being as influential as he needed to be. So I understand people have their opinions on Yates. Interested to see your opinion on this 11 as a whole. Is there anyone that you'd swap out? Is there anyone you're unsure of? Let us know.
I'm going to go on record and say that if this team had Ryan Yates instead of Ibrahim Sangare, I won't bat an eyelid. That'll still be fine by me.
For now, I do feel, this is obviously speculation, it's not happened yet. In a few months' time, I do think we'll be waxing lyrical about seeing the player that we know he can be and the potential he's got. And if that does happen and Ryan Yates isn't really in the conversation, that's only a good thing. If it doesn't happen and Ryan Yates is in the conversation, I trust him enough for that to be an okay thing as well. So, yeah, I'd just be glad not to really have to hear about it, which is funny considering I'm the only one that's talked about it so far. But still, I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic looking at this squad.
Absolutely. Right, JJ, on to the game at hand, which is Saturday, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days away, which is absolutely bananas that we're in mid-August. Score predictions, JJ. Bournemouth at home.
Yes, it's crept up quite quickly. It felt like it was a long way away, particularly with the Euros ahead of us. But here we are. It is arriving this Saturday, and I'm ready for it. Looking forward to it. At the end of last season, I really was looking forward to the break from it. We obviously haven't done a podcast in the summer. Forest drained me. They really did. It was not a nice season, but it's nice to come back renewed with a sense of optimism. So with that, I hate Bournemouth. I can't stand them. They do my head in. They're such an annoying team, and they always seem to get one over on us. Solanke being sold is huge because it's quite late in the window. Well, quite late before the season starts anyway. And they're going to be missing him. He was a very important player to them. He scored for fun last season. So without that, with the fact it's the first game back at the City Ground, we know how important that can be. I believe the weather will be roasting. There's been a good buzz around pre-season. We've won a few games. The squad's gelling. I think Forest are going to storm the first game of the season and win straight out of the blocks 3-0.
3-0, storming out. Wow. I mean, I was just
my predictions are only going to get more and more negative every week from this. So I'm going to start off with a 3-0.
So just looking at Bournemouth, they've converted Enes Unal's loan from Getafe to a permanent. Australian goalkeeper Daniel Jebison from Sheffield United. Dean Huijsen from Juve is a centre back.
Makes a great sauce.
Ooh, and Julian Araujo from Barcelona for $8.5 million. They've not done any business. If that was us, I'd be kind of going, press the big red button where we signed 30 players on deadline day, especially when you couple in the fact they've just sold Solanke. So
they still have Alex Scott, Max Aarons. Sinisterra, was he on loan? Did they buy him?
No, they haven't got Sinisterra. They have. Sorry, they did. Yes, they converted it before the end of the season. They did. I was thinking of Somerville who's just gone to West Ham, hasn't he? Still got Antoine Semenyo, good player. Dango Ouattara is a good player. Justin Cliver, David Brooks, Jaden Anthony.
They did some really good business last season.
I mean, looking at the team, actually,
football manager.
I'll say that looking at their squad, I'm kind of thinking, actually, you didn't need to sign anyone, did you? I'm going to go with 2-1 Forest. I think it'll be a really good game to watch, and I think it'll be nice to have football back, JJ.
It really will, and I think you couldn't really ask for a better game than Bournemouth first game of the season because it's winnable. We've got quite a good start to the season. What if we do lose against Bournemouth? Don't lose your heads. It is only the first game, is what I will say, and I'll try and remember that myself. But
I'll remind him of that on Saturday.
But it's a great opportunity to get a marker down and see where we're at after what looks to be a positive, good pre-season.
Absolutely. And JJ, talk to us about Fantasy Premier League.
Yes, before we go, we've got a Fantasy League. The league code is on screen, and it is 0, for those listening, 0 and then lowercase LRZAR. So join us. There's plenty of people in there. We're not allowed to say that you're going to get a prize because that's against fantasy rules, but so join it. It'd be fun. It's just a bit of fun. So join a lot of like-minded Forest thing. I think I'd like to make it a bit more of a prominent thing, Jacob, and go through our scores on a more regular basis, because last season I let myself down, and I'm normally better than that. So I've got eyes on beating Chris from Forest all over because he's in it, and I want bragging rights about that. So
I was doing pretty.
Try and beat me if you want to join the league. You've got to beat me.
I was doing pretty well last season until Chris from Forest all over took my phone off me and subbed out Erling Haaland, and I never recovered. So cheers for that, Chris. But yeah, if you're listening for the first time, I'd be very interested to hear how you found us. If you come back,
sorry.
If you come back again and 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 again, God knows we love you. Yes!